We're clear for takeoff.
We are back. We are back. Season 5, Kings of the Heart. We are here with you again after a nice little refreshing break. My name is Tariiq Walton. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Here with my brother, Dr. John Hart. Welcome back, Dr. Hart.
Brother man, it's good to see you, man. It's great to be back, man. Hello, everybody. It's good to be back.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you back. Good to be back here with you. Nice little break. How was your summer, man?
It was a good summer. It went by too quickly, but it was good. Yeah, it was good. How about yours, man?
Oh, it was excellent, man. All I did was sit back. I read, I slept, I ate, I worked out. I just got deep into myself, man. Just made sure that I had to take care of me. You know, I'm tired of feeling burnt out all the time. I want to make sure that Tariiq was taken care of.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I wish I had that. You know, with the twins. It's hard to have that kind of. You can't do that with twins.
Who are now a year old, right?
Yeah, man. It's about 17 months now, so they getting up there, man.
They just running around on you, huh?
They are a handful once they start running. So we're gonna be heading into talking stage. So we really got to feel it when they start walking and talking.
Oh, you forget about it.
Oh man,
they're gonna need their own talk show.
I'm telling you, what?
Well, anyway, guys, we missed you, and we wanted to make sure we came back strong for you this year. So we have a lot of plans, a lot of new things we're implementing for Kings of the Heart, a lot of exciting things going on our side. So we're always going to bring that to you as well. But today, we want to start the season off right. How right can it be? This right. We're going to talk about divorce. That's right. As marriage and family therapists, we talk about divorce all the time with our clients, more than we probably want to. And so we want to bring a little information, a little thought about what that is and why it's important to consider divorce, because you know what? Everybody ain't meant to last. So we got to talk about that today. Right, Dr. John?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let's start off here, man. Tell me this, Dr. John. Why is it that so many people struggle with the idea of divorce? What is it about the idea of breaking up with your spouse that seems so detrimental that people hold on in their relationships way past the time that it should have expired? What's going on with people? Why are they so afraid of divorce?
I think, one of the prominent things is, in my mind, fear. I think it's a fear of failure. I think it's a fear of being alone. Those two come to mind. Failure is really hard. I mean, it's part of life, but it's really, really hard when it's in front of someone or it's like impending on them, and things getting closer to divorce. Failure then becomes a more prominent thought, and sometimes some people are able to, in a very healthy way, like push through that fear and go ahead and finalize it. And there are people who allow the fear to really grab them and say, like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want, family pressures. I don't want, to shame my family. I mean, like, there's a lot of ideas that come from the fear of failure.
But think about this, though. But real quick, even the fear of failure, what do you actually consider failure? You got married, maybe you had kids, maybe you raised your kids well, but the relationship itself just did not last. It just did not work out. Why would that be considered a failure when you've had successes all the way through?
Well, the average person isn't thinking it like that. Like, they're really not. Like, it's very, very rare, at least in my experience, where someone's coming through, especially in the couples format. Now, individually is different, but in the couples format, I don't think I've ever heard someone pushing for divorce super actively to the point where they're like, you know what? But we did right. We got our kids through college. I must have been sleep deprived with the twins. But I really can't. And so your point's well taken, and that tends to happen with therapy, with a lot of intervention and support, where the person is able to have a healthy perspective and saying, oh, it's technically not a failure. Like, a lot of blessings did come out of this relationship, right? So but that's the point we'll take.
So people holding on to that fear really doesn't always suit what the reality is. But like you said, this is what people walk into. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to bring shame onto their families.
Right.
You know, there's a whole history of, you know, people's families that staying together despite the problems. You know, my parents stayed together for 45 years and they had problems, but they made it work. I want to be like my grandparents. But not recognizing that there's a lot of pain and insecurity and a lot of things that went along with that. Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I cut you before, man. Go ahead. What are some other reasons why people are afraid to break up or struggle with breaking up and going into divorce?
Yeah, the other thing that I said was like the fear of being alone. I mean, the lonely, because the thing about loneliness, like that's an existential problem. So that isn't just to me, and that's how I see it. Like it's one of the greatest existential fears that we have as human beings, in my opinion. It's the fear of being alone, and I can even go so far to say that it's a lot of people can wrap their head, believe it or not, around the idea of death, but dying alone even scarier. So the issue of fear of being alone is one of the top ones that I encounter, because it's an existential fear. Like people really do panic. You know, some people would rather stay and have someone in their life that they're not connected with anymore. It's abusive or whatever, because they don't want to be alone. Though toxic, some of these relationships are, you know, people are still physically connected, they're emotionally connected, and so anything outside of that is far worse than experiencing the toxicity that could continue to spiral out of control. So, you know, that fear of being alone, now that's one where I've seen individually and collectively in couples therapy that does come up. Like that's one that I've noticed.
Yeah. But even that, I mean, there's always something, right? So I'm even thinking with, you know, being alone. Are you alone though?
Yeah.
Whether you have your kids, whether you have extended, you know, you have your friends, you have your family, you have your kids, you have your community who are still there. So you're not really alone. So how are you even defining alone? Oh, alone in your bed? Oh, alone in that romantic capacity? But if you don't have the romantic capacity already, if your mate's already sleeping in another part of the house, right? You're already by yourself. You're living with somebody. It's basically your roommate, but it's not a romantic partner. So you're already alone. So now is it just the idea that because you don't have that physical presence in your space, now you're truly alone, and that's the reason why you're holding on?
Yeah, but I also think it's like the normality of being in a relationship. Like you always have someone there. Like even because I definitely have had couples who I've worked with over the years who are living in two parts of the home. Like literally living in two parts of the home. And I bring up what you're bringing up. Like, is this even a marriage? Is this even like this doesn't seem like a marriage? Like I mean,
you came in talking about that's your roommate.
Yeah, you know, like it doesn't make any sense. So I like I said, I agree with you. I think people they don't have much perspective when they're thinking about divorce or going through divorce to be rational and say, like, you know what, no, I'm not alone. You know, you do have people around, but I also know that just like we say we're folks who your family of origin, like that's the norm, and that's where we have to kind of like work through breaking through some of those dynamics. Well, if you think about marriage ends up becoming an adult's new norm. Like you've flown the coop, and now this is your new norm. And so, you know, it psychologically, day in and day out, that build over months and years. No, I can understand the existential fear of a person panicking and thinking that they're alone, because your family of origin grows. You know, I mean, I'm not saying literally everyone's different, but that idea becomes far distant and distant. Your kids age and they get older, they move out, like they fly the coop. And so those are some of the things that, like, when I've talked to like folks about regarding that fear of being alone, you know, there's a lot of it that's just kind of grounded of the last 20, 30, 40 years. You know, if you're able to get that high, this has been my norm. And I think that's a shakeup.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of just building off of that, like you were saying before, just in terms of that whole family of origin thing, one of the things I hear a lot from people and why they struggle with the idea of divorce is because they don't have a model for it. When you come from a family, where everyone's been married, stay married through everything.
That's a great point.
Where everyone's miserable maybe, but they're still together. People have no model for what divorce looks like. So the idea that I may actually divorce, that again, that's outside of my norm. I don't know what that is. And so I'm going to try to make this work just like everybody else I've seen in my family try to do.
Facts.
You know?
Nah, that's well said. I ain't got nothing to add to that. That's pretty well said. Yeah. No, you're right. That's the other perspective. You're right. That's a really great point.
Yeah. And then, there's other thing too that I kind of run across a lot, where people have this idea that they can they can make it work even on their own, even if their mate isn't doing anything. You have people who come in saying, well, if I change me, because this has always been the comment from the mate, well, if you do better, we'll do better. So they come in with this idea that I'm the problem. So let me work on me. If I work on me, then I can, bring us all back together and everything will be fine. And even though I know as couples therapists, we will often refer people out to individual therapy, knowing that they have their own work to do to come back and help out with the couple unit. A lot of people have this idea that, well, if I do change, then everything will be better. Or if my mate changes, everything will be better. So they think that divorce isn't acceptable because I have a lot more work I need to do that's going to benefit us. Yeah. And sometimes it's not about you guys. You guys just don't work.
Yeah.
You try to take all this extra weight in order to carry the entire relationship, and that's not possible. It takes both of you guys. So the idea that you're going to avoid divorce by investing all of your emotional resources into making the marriage work is not realistic.
Yeah. I mean, that's on fire, bro. I mean, like it makes a lot of sense. I think one of the best things I've appreciated now that we're talking about it, when working with couples or individuals who are on the brink of divorce, or going through the process and want some support, is that a lot of the stuff that we've talked about so far, once you start introducing that and grounding people, you do see things lift up for them. Like you really do. I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, but I like, because everything that we're talking about is what they've been struggling with. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And so it's like, but when we start talking about, okay, so what's really going on, and your individual needs, you about to sacrifice this for what? Let's talk about this fear of being alone. Let's talk about this fear of failing. Once we start grounding people around like what we've talked about so far, I mean, that in and of itself, not all, but some people start to realize like, oh yeah, like I've been tripping. I'm not happy. I need, like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like exactly. So is that fair to say, Brother Rick, that like this is one of those, though one of the most serious issues that I think any human can experience and kind of go through, the idea of divorce? That is it safe to say that the little bit we've talked about so far, not all, but majority of people, once they wrap their head around that rationality, they start to feel a little bit better, wouldn't you say? Yeah. It gives them a different perspective to move from, in order to move forward. So do I actually want to stay in this? Is there a possibility that we can make this work? Or do I need to consider other options? Yeah. And it's challenging that perspective. Yeah, no, straight up. And why do you think those three, what is it about those three that come up? Like once people start getting grounded, like how is it though? How did they miss it? How did they miss those three? Because like we already mentioned, there are certain beliefs that people already walk into marriage with, that this is going to last forever. Expectations. That's what Brother Rick says all the time, brings up. That expectations. Those expectations, right. And those expectations are based off of the experiences you've had through other people's experiences. Correct. So again, you've seen your parents, you've seen your aunts and uncles, you've seen your grandparents, even some of your siblings. Everyone stayed together for all this time. So you have this belief that this is what marriage is supposed to be. Like when we get together, we're mating for life. There's no divorce. And you hear people say that. Once I get married, I ain't never getting divorced. And so now you're setting yourself up for a major disappointment and a lot of struggle and a lot of pain, because things will not always be as perfect as they are early on. Yeah. And so as you're growing and possibly growing apart, or realizing how much you guys lack in chemistry, so many reasons. We'll get into reasons why people do get divorced or need to get divorced. Right. But you set yourself up for this expectation that is not easily met, especially in present day America, right? Yeah. Because we live in a world already, we're already talking about, I'm not even sure what the statistics are anymore. I don't even pay attention anymore. Yeah, but I know, right? We know that the divorce rates are probably 50% or higher. Yeah. And so the chances of you staying with somebody for the rest of your life, it's a 50-50 chance. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. You're flipping a coin on this one. So why walk into it with that expectation? So that's the thing, that's the reason why I think a lot of people, once we start grounding them in the reality of what's going on, like, oh, I never considered that, because their belief system has them locked into the idea of what
marriage is supposed to be. And what's supposed to be isn't always what's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Now I wanted to ask, because I can imagine if I'm listening to this episode, I'm like, so if it's that, if it comes down to those three, which sound very practical, how are this many people missing it?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask, man, because it's wild, isn't it? If you just think about before any intervention.
Yeah.
This is a lot of psychoeducation that we're doing here as licensed clinical marriage and family therapists, right? A lot of psychoeducation in the beginning.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people, and let me just say too real quick, we're not saying that we are here to tell people to get divorced. All right. We're not up here championing divorce. We just want people to realize that there are other ways to approach your life, right? Not to be stuck in something that doesn't work for
facts.
you. All right. We just want you to understand that there are options out there, and divorce is one of them. Right.
Yeah.
You don't just have to wait for death to be free. Okay.
No, well said. That's that needed to be said too. I know I laugh, but again, it's like there's other approaches to this, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I swear, John, in my practice, divorce is such a prominent topic, whether it's couples coming in or I'm working with individuals trying to work their way through divorce. It's like it's constantly present. It's like, whew, man. But any which way, one more reason why people stay together much longer than they need to. And we didn't mention this one, and this one is probably one of the top ones I hear. For the kids.
Oh my God.
For the kids. I don't want to take my kids through. I've been through divorce. My parents went through divorce, so I had to deal with that as a child. I don't want to take my kids through that. You hear all these different excuses when it comes to why they're staying with their spouse for the sake of their kids. And you as a father, more than anybody would know this, why is it that people think that staying together for the sake of the kids is a viable reason?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many different things I can imagine going on because everyone's situation is different. So there are people who have gone through in their family of origin like a very rough, nasty, out of control divorce.
Right,
and some of these divorces can be out of control.
Yep.
And so that scar tissue's there. I mean, you're emotionally that makes an imprint on the person, and so that becomes their greatest fear.
Right.
Is when I become a parent, I would never do that. But then Brother Reek's point comes into play where it's like, well, that's a very dangerous expectation. So you're not only locking yourself in, you're now locking your children in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge blind spot.
Yep.
I say that even as a dad, it's like, it becomes a major blind spot because that's where, and this is for another topic, but that's where things do get dicey whenever parents are like, everything I do for my kids. There's some of these decisions that really aren't it, because if you're in a relationship where not just you as a partner, but even the kids are being impacted by it, and you stay in there because you think the best option here is to stay for the sake of the kids.
Right.
Well, it's really then not about the kids. It's about you, and it's about like some of the serious blind spots that you have from your traumatic past regarding divorce,
right,
that you're now emotionally passing down to yours, because as long as you have those blind spots that underneath that are some unresolved trauma, well, now the kids have to be it, and so that becomes dangerous. There are people who also in a weird way find their kids quite resilient and are like, like if I can get through it, I think the kids can get through it. Or some people keep adding different it's not coming to me right now, but it's like, okay, it's just a bad week, it's just a bad month, just a bad year. So you start kicking the can down. Like there are people who will keep pushing time, right?
Yep,
I think you even notice as well, there are people who are like, let's wait for the kids to get to high school. Let's wait for the kids to go off to college.
Yep.
Well, again, to my earlier point, then you're just kicking the can. Like the relationship's not getting better, which means everyone is impacted. And but there's this whole resilience kind of save the kids piece where it's like, well, let's not ruin their lives right now. They're at a critical point.
Right.
And then another thing that I'll add when thinking about, like doing it for the kids, I don't think a lot of fear. That's what I'll say is like being a single parent is very scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like as someone who has a wife who is an amazing mom, like I tell my wife all the time that as a family, like we go as far as she goes.
Right.
And not just because of my work schedule, but just even the amount of growth I've had as a dad of twins. like 99% of that is attributed to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell her I don't know what I would do without her regarding our twins.
Right.
I'd figure it out. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'm emotionally connected to my kids. But when I think about like our day-to-day life and me doing that by myself, no, that's a different kind of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's a fear that like parents really do think about. So I'm gonna stop here because like those are the like 3 things that kind of come to my mind regarding this do it for the kids and some of the implications for that.
Yeah, the thing that comes up for me a lot is the stability, the sense of stability.
Yeah,
having 2 parents at home is always going to be better than having just 1 parent at home. And again, that's not always the case. That's the case if it's a healthy relationship. All right, if you and your spouse are in a healthy place, yes, you guys being there together will always create a more nurturing and healthy environment for your kids. That's going to create a lot of stability for your children emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys aren't happy together, if you guys are miserable, there may be a sense of stability in that everyone's in the same house. But emotionally,
great point. Yep.
That's not there anymore.
Come on.
You're not happy. Your spouse isn't happy. You think your kids aren't aware of that? You think your kids don't know how miserable that the both of you guys are when you guys are arguing constantly, or they're simply ignoring each other constantly?
Ignoring each other, yeah.
Right.
Like,
you think your children don't recognize that? You think that doesn't impact them? They see it too. So you staying together because you believe that having 2 parents in the household is better than having 1. Yeah, like Dr. John said, being a single parent is difficult, extremely difficult. But it's healthier for them if you're a happy single parent than being a miserable married parent. Right. So just this idea that, we have to stay together for the kids because, we all need to be in the same house together. No. Not when you're miserable. I'm sorry.
Right.
Go be happy by yourself. Instead of everybody in the house is gonna be miserable. The kids are gonna be miserable because you're miserable. So you want to make sure that everyone is in a healthy place so that the stability is making sense. But it doesn't feel quite stable when it's a house of misery. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. That's well said. Yeah. I'm with it.
Yeah. So
definitely with it.
So those are some of the major reasons why people stay in marriages instead of considering divorce when things have kind of gone wrong for a very long time. What about this? Why is it that there are people who do recognize that divorce is necessary, that they need to get out of this, but still stay in it? I'm talking about those people who will struggle within their relationship, know that they're struggling, believe divorce is an option, but don't make the jump to get divorced. Why are people afraid to get divorced even when they know that they need to get divorced? Even when they believe in divorce, why are people afraid to get divorced? What do you think those are?
I don't know, man. I mean, and one of the things, not to even be funny, is like, then if you're at that level, then there's probably some financial implications there, man.
Yep.
I gotta be honest, because that's another one that I could see in a very insidious way, keeping people in. Right. Like more than ever, couples over the last 30, 40 years, I feel their finances are becoming more and more intertwined.
Yep.
I don't think it was as nuanced back in the day than as it is now. And so folks there's a range of folks doing well in so many different ways that I think there are some serious financial things that and I don't count people's money, but I don't want us to overlook, because I have clients who do very well for themselves financially. Right. And some of them I even kind of think about, like, this would be very tricky. I'm not an accountant, but I think there's some serious financial implications here that probably, even though they know they shouldn't be together, there's probably something. Especially my couples that own businesses together. That's a really good example. You see what I'm saying? Like, it just hit me. I've had couples who literally have like businesses. I had one couple that, like, they were running a business. They were co-owners. And so I can imagine divorce being very, very complicated in those shoes, right? So like there's some like financial reasons that I think come to mind. I think the other one, because it's very hard, like what you're asking, outside of some of the stuff we've talked about already. But I also think the other one is like, this isn't a reason, but it's like sunk cost fallacy.
Here you go. Break it down again.
I think, man, I just think some people are like, I know I ain't happy. I know it didn't work out for whatever reason, but damn, 30, 40 years. I don't got it in me to do this with anybody else.
Right.
I put in a lot of time and effort
Right.
and money into this. My kids are doing really well. Grandkids are around now. Like, nah, I didn't put in the time. I'm not doing it. So, even though they know, and that's where I think those arrangements starts coming out, where it's like people are starting to sleep in other rooms and sleep separately.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the sunk cost fallacy, people are like, nah, I'm gonna stay right here because I
Right.
put in my dues. So those are the two things that adding to the conversation that comes up. But what do you think, Brother Reek?
I need to piggyback off of your financial one, right? And it's stability. What I see is for a lot of people is, well, in certain situations, certain people, they're on the come up when they get married.
Yeah.
So they meet somebody who provides a
The
financially
facts.
stable situation for them. And even though they know it's not the best situation, even though they recognize that their mate does not really fulfill what they're looking for overall in a marriage, they do fulfill that financial side. So they create a sense of stability for you to be able to continue to come up. But then what happens? So they're sticking it out. They're on the come up, whether they're in school or getting their business off the ground or coming up in their career. And then once they get to their place where they don't need their mate anymore, now they're making the exit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got my degree now. Now I can be out because I can create stability on my own. I don't need you for that financial stability anymore. So I'm going to go create this on my own without you. Or, I'm at a place in my career now where I can create that financial stability for myself. So a lot of that sticking around longer than you need to, when you know you need to be out, has to do with that sense of financial stability. You've provided financial stability for me, so I'm going to stay here as long as I need to. And then I'm going to be out. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I really have. I've seen that, but I don't know, at least for me, like that one's not common, but I've seen it though.
It's common for me, man. I see that a lot.
I've seen it. I haven't seen it that much, but I've seen it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm telling you, that come up is big. I'm not leaving this. I'm not leaving this until I got what I need out of it. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the other person because they think that this is always about love, not realizing, you're just a convenient step. So
that's man. I've seen that. That one, those ones hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They hit a little bit different.
Oh yeah, that's almost bad because you're used. You got used,
right?
You know what I'm saying? That's almost worse than being cheated on. You were used. You were with this person for 10 years, 15 years, while they were trying to come up. Now that they have it, they don't need you anymore. So you
better off cheating on me. Like, let's take the L quick, fast, and hard. But you take 10 years of my life,
right?
My time, my resources.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a reason why the show snapped. Yeah, man. Nah,
you ain't lying.
Nah. Like when you was breaking it down, I was like, yeah, like I've seen it a couple of times over the years, and but when you were done and landed, I was like, so people are out here getting used.
Yep.
Like,
thoroughly.
Damn.
Yep.
And it's sad because the other, I'll say this real quick. And the other egregious part.
What's that?
Tell me I'm wrong.
What's that?
It's in terms of its tenure, it's never short. Why it always gotta be like minimum 10 years for those situations, bro?
People gotta grow.
Why couldn't you have just taken like a year or two off this person's life, man?
Mm-mm.
But 10, some people be in this show like, yeah, like they we were together 12 years and then they were like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
And then to your point, it's like, oh, so they're super stable now. Like they literally built their own thing on the side.
Yep.
To use
that
you as
supported.
A
you supported. You financially supported.
You were the safety net.
Right. The entire time.
Dang.
Yeah.
We got to make that Jonah topic. I mean, because I was like, yeah, like that, because that does happen, bro.
Oh, constant. I can't tell you.
I've seen that a lot. Topic, bro.
I have seen that one a lot. Unfortunately, I've seen that one a lot.
That's hard. Yeah, that got to be a topic.
Yeah.
That has to be a topic because like that definitely. Now that topic just woke me up. Like that. I mean, yeah, because I've seen it, and the being used part, yeah, that got to be a topic.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you're right. And to be clear, like Brother Rick isn't advocating that you cheat on your partner as an option. If you want, like,
No,
you know what
not
I mean?
at all.
That's
Not
not what
at
he's
all.
saying.
Not at all.
But when we're trying to put things in this right perspective, Brother Rick, what are you trying to say when you said that?
I'm just trying to tell you, look out for people who are actually using you. You know,
Yeah.
there are so many ways to get hurt and caught up in your relationship. People always think that infidelity is and physical, you know, sexual infidelity is the major cause for people breaking up. No. That's one of the major causes.
Yeah.
And that is hurtful.
Yeah.
But would it be hurtful to, I can get into this in so many different ways, but I don't want to go too far off track. But is it more hurtful that your mate cheated on you than your mate announcing that they actually settled for you? Which one hurts more? To know that you were settled for or you were cheated on? Or that your mate just used you to come up?
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, if you cheat on me, I think I could live with that. Right? Whether we stay together or not.
A lot of therapy. Yeah, we're going to a lot of therapy to figure that out.
But when you used me,
I will, like some of us, and I'm petty, I will never forget that. Clinical training or not, I will never forget that.
Yeah, that's
I can forgive. Yeah, I can forget, but I will never forget that. Yeah. Or like you said, being used or like being settled for.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Like you're the best option at the time. You know. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot more. Yeah, we'll get deep into that. We'll get deep into that. Well, another reason why I think a lot of people stay in a relationship long past their due date, even though they know that they need to get out, comfort. I hear that one a lot too. You know, it's like, why am I going to go anywhere else? You know, this isn't the best situation for me, but you know, it's here. I've been here. It's just comfortable. It's what I know.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Comfort.
You know? So almost afraid of change. But to kind of go along with that one too, is the guilt. People don't want to deal with the guilt of being the one who actually breaks up. So I've had clients who know that this is the end for them. And even those ones who say they really want to work on themselves or work on the relationship, they know it's really the end. But they're coming from the standpoint of, I don't want to be the one to say, I want a divorce. And so it's almost like they're putting their partner in a position for them to announce the divorce so that they don't have to be the one to take the responsibility or take accountability for starting the divorce process.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know?
Yeah, guilt's good.
Yeah.
I overlooked that one. Yeah, it's good. I don't have much to say about that one because that's a really sticky one. And then that's, to your point, then the implication then becomes a waiting game and a game of draw, which then it time goes on. I've seen couples push. They do that, like, because of the guilt, and they're like, well, I don't want to feel bad to be the one to bring it up or to end it, so I'll wait for them. But you don't know, the other person may still be in love with you and don't see any issues, and now your ass is stuck. I don't know what else to say.
Or even think about how much you're putting the other person through so that they get to a place where they want to say, I want a divorce. Like you're sitting up there saying, okay, well, I'm going to stick it out till they say I want a divorce. But you're taking them through so much to get them to that place. It's not like you're just sitting back.
Yeah, that's
It's not like you're just sitting back passively waiting for it to happen. No,
that's a good
you're
point.
Actively working on the destruction of your relationship so that you can avoid the guilt, and you're making them miserable. I hate to keep using the word miserable, but miserable. Yeah. Getting them to this place of misery where they are like, yo, I need to get out of this.
Yeah,
I can't allow you to keep dragging me down. You're like, oh, they're finally getting it. Like, yo, step into it. You step into it. Don't take them through unnecessary. Well, never mind. We'll come back to all that.
Yeah, we got to come back. But that was a great point, though. Yeah, because that lands differently. Like, you now are intentionally, you're methodically, you're strategically trying to crush this relationship when you need to just have some emotional maturity and handle it like an adult.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That guilt is dangerous.
Yeah. Yep. People will avoid guilt and regret. Two things people will avoid to the ends of the earth.
Yep.
But when you can deal with it, then you probably feel a lot better. Everybody probably feel a lot better later on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what about, there's a couple of different directions I want to go in. So we'll go on this one first. So we've been talking about reasons why people stick around, why people hold on. What are some good reasons, or what are some things that you see in session that say, okay, yeah, y'all probably need to get divorced? I know it's not really within what we should, like our job to tell people, okay, y'all need to get a divorce. But I know there are times you're sitting there with people on your couch or people on your screen, and you're sitting there thinking, yo, y'all don't need to be together. This just needs to end. You can't say that. They gotta get there on their own. But when you see it, what are you seeing that makes you say, okay, yeah, y'all don't need to be together? What are some of the signs in your eyes that couples are in a place where divorce is the only option?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, there's a few things. I mean, one of the things that come to mind, I'll start on a super light note. I've had some really good natured couples where you end up realizing pretty quickly that they're just well better off as friends. Like this is just like
true.
really good friends, because the intimacy is it's not just that it's not there. I mean, you know, there's a different kind of intimacy with our closest friends that you know, we're gonna be adults here. But like I believe it or not, like starting on a like I've met some couples where I was like, you know what, like, and I've had to talk to them. I was like, you know what, I think this sounds more like friendship, like. And I wonder if we need to just rethink and be honest with ourselves about the boundaries and needs of this. Like, you guys are just really, you know what I mean? Like, you don't talk about things the same way like as an actual couple do. So there's some folks that I've come across and I was like, you guys seem like really great friends, and we got to be honest, you know. And then we get into like, why are you guys doing this? You know, so that's on a really super note. I think extreme, persistent, and consistent violence, it needs to end.
Wow, yeah,
true. It needs to end. I mean, it's that's a no-brainer. That and I'm talking about all forms of abuse. Yeah. If it, you know, it all kinds. So, but when it's consistent and persistent, it gotta end. I don't care how long you've been together or how many kids you have. No, it gotta go. And then everything in between. I mean, like, there are folks who when I've had couples over the years where someone is doing chronic cheating, and this is not good. Like, this is actually emotionally destabilizing, even for the person who's doing the cheating. So like cheating, but now that's why I said chronic cheating, because I've had couples, but like one time, like, those are different. That has a different trajectory. But chronic cheaters, no, go ahead, end that jump. People who are like I think co-parenting issues, I got to be honest, like that one gets very tricky and dangerous. But at the end of the day, I've come across some folks who are not on the same page. And it's better off to then rethink with help, a mediator, like get divorced and then get into family therapy and some co-parenting coaching. Because I'm sorry, bro, I'm not going to overlook it, but like, there are some folks who I've worked with, and their parenting ideologies, their behaviors, their attitude, it's really not working.
They don't mix well.
And yeah, so those are just a few things that come to my mind where I'm like, nah, it's got to end. Let's talk divorce.
I'll tell you the things that I think. Well, real quick, that abuse topic right there you just brought up, we have to do a whole show on that one. Yeah, you know, that abuse is. I think we've covered that in different ways before, but I think we need to be very direct about that one. So we'll come back to talk about that one in its own topic later on. But what I see oftentimes in front of me is those people who put in absolutely no effort. So you're here telling me that you're trying to work on your relationship. Then I give you homework and you don't do any homework. We talk about all these different things that you need to do differently. I provide you with a whole list of tools and we've practiced them. And then you go home and you don't use them. You don't do the homework. You don't put any effort in. I ask you, okay, what are you doing differently? And you can't give me any idea of things that you're doing differently, even though we talked about all the things you need to do differently in session. When you don't put any effort forward, where neither one of you guys are even trying, that to me is a sure sign that y'all just don't need to be together. You're not invested. You're not emotionally invested in this relationship. You're here physically, and you're saying you're trying to make it work for all the reasons we said earlier. We want to stay together for all these reasons. But when you're not putting that effort in, when you're not working towards the betterment of your relationship, you're telling me that you don't really want to be there. You're just doing this because of everything we already talked about. But yeah, y'all need to start making other plans and going in different directions and getting used to the idea of not being together, because you're obviously not invested in working on the relationship. I appreciate you coming to see me every week. You know, keep putting money in my pocket, but ultimately you have to see that this is not what you need to be doing. Don't keep giving me money to say that, oh, well, we're working on it. No, you're not actually working on it. You're not doing any work. So get out. Get out of here. If you want to, we can work on co-parenting here. We can work on the transition from being together to getting divorced. But we don't need to be sitting in here trying to work on a relationship that you're not invested in being in.
Yeah.
So let's either change what we're doing or get out of this and just go talk to a divorce lawyer.
Yeah.
Go make other plans. The other thing that comes to mind oftentimes too is chemistry, man. Do you know how many clients I see who have absolutely no chemistry? There's no romantic interest. You guys came together because you saw something different in this person than who you are, and you don't have anything in common. You don't have anything in common. You don't have good chemistry. You might have had good sexual chemistry. That's only going to take you but so far. But you guys are such different people and have such little common interests that there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And so what are you guys doing? You're sitting up here saying, well, I like to go out. Well, I like to stay in. Well, I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert. Okay, that's cool. That could be a good balance if you guys are working together. But if all you're doing is running into conflict because one person wants to do something and the other person doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, you're telling me that you guys have very little in common and there's very little to do or very little growth that can happen between the two of you. So what are you doing here? Again, if you're not putting the effort into trying, if you're saying that I'm, this is just who I am.
Right.
And the other person's like, well, that doesn't work for me. Well, that's telling you, look, you don't have a lot in common there. The chemistry just isn't working. So maybe you should go in different directions.
No.
Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Have you seen that one too? That like a chemistry?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, and again, like, and I know we're all, we're working with so many people, and so our experience in terms of frequency could be different. I've seen it like not that much, but when you brought it up, I was nodding my head a lot because I appreciate it, because that's one of the ones that I don't see often, but it is there. Mm-hmm. I've met some couples where I was just like, yeah, it's zero chemistry. Yeah, like zero. Yeah. Like even I'm full blown confused.
Like how?
Like
y'all
why? How are you guys even like? What? Y'all been together for this long? Yeah. Like, there's no chemistry here. Right. So I don't even know what's going on. I
love them. Yeah, you love them. That's cool. Yeah. You can love somebody.
But you don't like them though. Like,
right, exactly. Like exactly.
Like
exactly the point.
I of course I love my wife, but I like my wife a lot.
Exactly.
I like her a lot. Yes. Like who she is as a person, I like her a lot.
Right.
Nah, it hits different for the sake of marriage. So yeah, no chemistry.
Right.
That's where you got to be honest. People got to be honest with themselves, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So tell me this then. So we're talking about reasons why people should, we see them. We're like, okay, these are the signs of why people may need to go consider getting divorced. When you're working with your individual clients, that's with couples. When you're working with your individual clients, what are the conversations like when you recognize from their standpoint of the struggles they're having in their relationship? Do you have conversations with your clients about considering divorce, or do you just let them get there on their own? How do you actually work that in a therapeutic environment?
Oh, mine's very easy, and I'm not making it seem as though like I figured everything out, but my years of success working with individuals in which they're in relationships or marriages where they're obviously not happy or they're pending divorce. I go my go-to that works very effectively to help speed everything up is conversations, sessions dedicated to identifying their needs and assessing if their needs are being met on a consistent basis. Yeah. That's my go-to. Is that quick. Good. Like once I get my clients individually through that phase, then they naturally start becoming more empowered and they're accurately assessing, yeah, this ain't for me. Yeah. And I've thought about like a slew of clients when you asked me that, and I was like, yeah, my successes over the years has been starting with do you even because people can get lost in marriages. So my job is I got to pull them out therapeutically and have them see themselves back as their own person. Mm-hmm. Let's identify your needs. Let's understand your needs. Where do these needs come from? And then let's tell the story of who you are regarding your needs. Okay, then I put them back in the marriage and say, okay, now that you know yourself and you're much sharper regarding your insight, Now, does this relationship make sense? And they're usually like, no,
Nope.
it doesn't.
Nope.
Okay. Like
Not at all.
so yeah. So I don't want to sound as though like I'm like this, super genius, but I mean, I'm as close to 100% from the line when I think about all of the individual clients that I've helped. That's where that's usually my go-to.
Yeah.
That's how I get them.
Yeah, I think usually begin with that whole belief. What are your beliefs around being in a marriage? Where did those come from? Who did you learn those from? Do you believe they're realistic? Are they realistic today? Are they realistic, for you? Really breaking down the beliefs. And not saying that their beliefs are wrong, but really getting them to hone in on whether or not those beliefs are necessary, right? Start there. But kind of like you, do the same thing, are your needs being met?
Yeah.
Going just beyond that, I have this scale I use a lot, this hierarchy of emotions, 7-level scale going from -3 to +3 that lists all these different emotions and the hierarchical nature of each of them, and say, okay, well, show me where when it comes to just your life overall, well, where are you on the scale? And so maybe 0, just being basically satisfied or content, maybe +1. And you start to find out, well, the reason why they're even on the positive side is because of their career. They're feeling really good about their career. You start talking about their home life or their relationship, and it starts getting to those negative numbers. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do to actually, what can you do to get into the positive with the feelings and emotions that you're experiencing? And what ends up happening is people realize, there's not much I can do.
Right.
But number one, it's not all on me. But number two,
exactly,
you've seen nothing in your relationship that will lead you to believe that you can't even reach those positive numbers. Okay, so now let's start exploring other options. Or if you recognize that you can't at least be happy in your relationship, then what is it that you actually want to experience for your own life? And can that happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Like that's like what you just said. That's the part where I get to with like the needs part as well. It's like,
can we just be happy?
That's good.
Right.
Yeah. And but also like how you put it too, it's like how much effort is it going to take for you to get on that positive scale? And then you're not doing it alone. Do you have faith in this person that they will go on this journey with you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yep.
Because that's the other part about couples therapy. Like I know we're talking about individuals, but like that's sometimes like when working with the individual, you got to help them to understand. Do you have faith? Like it's going to take it's going to take some time, but do you have faith that the person, your partner, has the resilience, the flexibility, the openness, and emotional maturity to help get you there?
Right.
That's the other. Bro.
Yeah.
You saying that? Yup.
Yeah. So again, we're not up here advocating for divorce.
No.
We do recognize the need for divorce. And for some of you, you may want to consider that.
Absolutely. For some of you, I hope you're listening.
It's absolutely necessary for some of you guys. So anyway, man. Dr. John, give the people the first noble truths of season 5.
Oh, man. The divorce comes, it's a lot to unpack. So, think about what's been your experience with divorce, if any, in your family of origin. Really try to assess like what blind spots you may have. What are some subconscious thoughts and feelings regarding it? Another thing that comes up regarding divorce, based on what we talked about, is there are reasons to stay, and there are reasons to go. And if you're and if you are having issues with exploring that, go to therapy. Seriously. Because there are reasons to stay and reason to go, and we did a really good job breaking down both sides. And at the same time, everyone's situation is different. So if you're not clear, get some, go talk to someone, because divorce is not divorce is not an easy decision.
Oh, not
and
at
we get
all.
it. We get it. So I just want to uplift that.
It's a hard road to take.
And so that's my last noble truth, because I know we talk about it freely, but divorce is it's a very hard decision to make, folks. So don't take it lightly. No. We understand. We get it.
Look, don't take marriage lightly. Don't get married lightly. It's so much easier to get married than to get divorced. So for those people who get into it, the idea that, maybe. Nah, man, that's the wrong attitude to take. Real quick, my noble truth this week. Actually, I just got one. How do you want to feel? When you think about the life that you want to live and the remaining years you have on this planet, how do you want to feel? If you don't believe, or if you don't see that can happen within your current relationship, you may consider getting a divorce.
Yeah.
If you don't believe you can be happy in the minimum, because there's so many other emotions that are higher than happiness. If you can't at least get there, this may not be where you need to be. So consider how you want to live your life, how you want to feel, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to show up for your kids. And then use that as part of the consideration of whether or not this relationship is the right one for you. You may find somebody else out there who's more suited for you, or you may be just better on your own. But this may not be the place for you. So take that right there. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say, right?
No, real talk. That's real talk, bro. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, Dr. John, that is it for us. Yes, sir.
We're clear for takeoff.
Always good seeing you.
Good to see you, man. Glad to have this time back with you guys. Glad to be here for the people.
This season's gonna be fire, y'all.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of stuff for you guys. So just stick around, check us out, go back and listen to old podcasts if you're a new listener. We got a lot of old stuff over the previous 4 seasons, but this is season 5. You ain't never seen nothing like season 5. So get ready.
Not at all, man. Not
all
at
right.
all. This is about to be great.
All right, Dr. John, real quick, where can people find out more about you?
Feel free to check out our clinical services at the Relationship Counseling Center of Maryland, www.rccmaryland, spell the Maryland out.com. You can always plug in Dr. John Hart. There's so many different ways to find me and the work that I'm doing, and always come show love at our Kings of the Heart webpage, man. We got a lot of interesting updates happening, so always check us out there. What about you, Brother Reek? Where can we find you?
Like Dr. John said, check me out at kingsoftheheart.com. You can also find this episode and others all over the internet. We're basically on all the different streaming platforms, so make sure you go check us out there. You can find out more about me and some things I have going on at viewsandvibes.com, or go to my website, TariiqOmariWalton.com. Again, just like Dr. John, you can find us in so many different ways, as well as on social media. Go to Kings of the Heart on all the social media platforms as well. That's where you can find us. All right, Dr. John, good to see you, man. We will catch up again soon. To the people,
bro.
We love y'all. We missed y'all.
Love y'all.
And we'll see y'all again soon.
Peace.